everybody. My name is Bart, and I'm from the HomeComputerMuseum of the Netherlands. And yeah, we're an interactive computer museum. We exist since 2018, so that makes us around 7 years. And in this presentation, I will show you a little bit about the history, tell you about the history, and what we are currently doing as a museum. So I hope everything works. No, doesn't work. Cool. Now what? Should do something. Ah, there you go. So, who is this Bart guy? Well, that's me. Yeah, I'm a musician. I play drums is my main instrument, but I also have a bunch of guitars, 13 at this moment, next to my 4 drum kits. I'm a huge fan of Weird Al Yankovic, so you know. For some reason, I have a lot of things that I like about America. I also drive a Chevy van from 1993 in the Netherlands, which is a bad idea. And of course, I'm happily married. This is my family from a few years ago. I have 2 children. This was a few years ago. They are now 10 and 7. And of course, the HomeComputerMuseum. And actually, the thing is, I don't see my next slide now, which is annoying. The reason I started the HomeComputerMuseum has to do with basically how we got from there, which was my garage back in the day. So you can see it's a small picture, but you see a lot of computers, right? How I got to there, that's the HomeComputerMuseum. Well, that is because of karaoke. Because, sure, that's the most logical step to do because of karaoke. So, how I got into the HomeComputerMuseum because of karaoke. Well, it all started in 1982. Nah, just kidding. I'm not going that far away. So, no, it started in 2005. I was playing in a rock and roll band. Actually, my whole life, I wanted to become a professional musician. And I failed twice. So, this was the first failure. It started really great. We had a great fun. I played with people like Wanda Jackson on stage, which was really nice. I had contact with the Everly Brothers, Shakin' Stevens we were playing with. So all in all, we were great. It was great fun. But we're playing, it was called the Rocking Koffer Band. And koffer is suitcase in Dutch. But it also sounds like cover. So yeah, we were covering rock and roll music. And the thing in rock and roll music is you have to do backing vocals. Now, there's a good reason I became a drummer. Because I don't do backing vocals. But I had to do it because we were this rock and roll band. So I decided, you know, I'm going to do singing lessons. So I tried singing lessons, and, you know, this teacher would learn me how to sing. And I think it was 2 or 3 months, and he was like, yeah, you are able to sing. You can do it. You know every technique. How about singing? However, you don't dare to sing. There was this strange, at the moment I was on stage, I couldn't do anymore. And I forgot everything, and I couldn't bring myself to singing. So eventually, this band collapsed. I was actually married to the bass player. Bad idea. Yeah, we split up. All friendly, don't worry. She just left with the singer, so okay. So yeah, I lost my band, and luckily I found my new wife, and I'm still happily married to them. So that's that. So that was 2010. We got married, and yeah, we moved to a nice city in Helmond. Yeah, I moved to Helmond, which is a city next to Eindhoven. And in 2011, I became a true pirate. Well, actually, I joined a band, which was called Pirates. We were dressed up as pirates, and so I became a pirate. And my wife allowed me to buy 1 computer. That was because we went to this friend of hers, and this husband of this friend, he was collecting this old game consoles. I saw all these crazy game consoles, like the Apple Pippin, which I've never seen in my life back then. And so I was looking through his collection, and, you know, I have this great collection. I was like, I'm missing a few. And he was like, what are you missing then? I said, the Amigas. Where are the Amigas? Where's the CD32? Where's the CD-TV? And he said, yeah, I can't find them. Now, I already collected computers way before that. And one of my favorite computers was always been the Amiga. I had the Amiga 600, and that blew my mind away when I got it. Coming from a Tandy TRS-80 color computer 2, which has 9 colors. I had a 386, which has 265 colors, and I had a few black and white computers, like a Philips machine. And then suddenly, this Amiga in my hands, the Amiga 600. The first game I started was called Super Frog. Well, that blew my mind away. And since then, I collected all these Amigas. I had a 1200, a 600, CD-TV. I all have these Amigas. And of course, I sold everything because I wanted to become a drummer. So yeah, I needed space for some reason. So this friend of mine, friend of my wife, her husband, he didn't have this Amiga, and okay, he said I couldn't find it. He couldn't find one. So on the way back to our house, I said I want an Amiga back, because that was really the computer I really loved, the Amiga. It was so amazing for me. I wanted one Amiga, so she allowed me to buy one Amiga. Yeah, that's what I ended up with. I ended up with this bunch. This was free, given to me. It was an ESCOM Amiga A4000 Tower, boxed, with an 060 in there, with a Cyber Vision in there, and a SCSI card. It was 2 times an Amiga 500 with a GVP 030. I had the discs, I had 2 monitors, you can see them all there, and I had a not so happy wife. And it's not pictures, by the way. So she wasn't too pleased with my new collection I just got. But, you know, this started out. The Amiga, I eventually sold the GVP 030 because I already had the 060 Amiga 4000 Tower. And yeah, I was having fun with it, you know, getting it to work. The SCSI disk was completely stuck, so I threw it on the floor and then it was unstuck, so it worked. And that's how I started with this computer and getting on the internet. And I found this whole group of people that loved Amiga. And they really helped me, and they were really jealous about that I was given this for free. So I started collecting. Meanwhile, the band was also going pretty well. This was the band. It was actually a photo of the band. That's me. I was dressed as a pirate. We were touring a lot. And by a lot, I mean we did international tours, went through UK, Germany, Belgium, France, the Netherlands. In 2014, I did 75 shows. 2015, 75 again. So it was really a serious band. Actually, I was really thinking that this would be my future, being a touring musician with a folk rock band dressed up as pirates. But in 2013, still in Pirates at that point, but I accidentally bought another computer. This is what I ended up with. So yeah, this was all there was in the collection, roughly. So it was quite a collection. I got it for €100, all picked up. Somebody wanted to throw it away. Like, I'll pick it up. So I got all this and a not so happy wife. But then again, you know, this was in my garage, so she didn't see it at that point, which was fine. Meanwhile, the band was really serious. This is actually a shot that I made. It was in Hastings in the UK. This was Guinness World Record of the most people dressed as a pirate on one location. Yes, there were 15,000 people dressed up as a pirate on that stage, and we were the main act. So that was nice. Yeah, there we have 75 shows, 2014, similar in 2015. So it was getting serious, you know, we're having this collection, which was my hobby, you know, collecting old computers, making them nice, selling a few off because who needs so many, buying new computers. Meanwhile, the band was going, And I had to make my wife a little bit happy, so we went on a holiday in Morocco. There I found out that I was terrible at karaoke. We were sitting there, we having fun, drinking a bit, and I saw this stage, and there was karaoke, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do karaoke. So I went on stage, and I was singing the song "Livin' La Vida Loca" by Ricky Martin. I still remember it. And at the first verse, it was perfectly fine. But then the next part came, and I felt that I was not on tone, and I completely collapsed in my voice. I couldn't sing anymore. It's ridiculous. I could barely press it out. I felt completely ashamed. Why can I perform for 15,000 people? In front of 15,000 people, behind my drum kit, I can sing, because we were doing a lot of backing vocals at that time, with Pirates. I mean, it's a folk band. It's actually sea shanties, that's what we did. So sea shanties is kind of a lot of singing. And I was having no problems whatsoever, as long as I'm behind my drum kit. But there, in front of people I will never see in my life again, I couldn't do "Livin' La Vida Loca." I was like, why? I don't understand. Why can't I just sing? So I fixed all the things. And yeah, I looked on the internet. I mean, I already did this singing lessons, didn't work. I already tried the second one, didn't work out either. He was like 2 weeks, and he was like, yeah, you can sing, but you don't dare to sing. Yeah, great. And he couldn't help me with that. So I figured, you know, I'll do one more try. One single try I will do to make me sing, and if that doesn't work out, I will quit with singing. So yeah, this is how I look like when I'm singing at that point. I was a little bit heavier then. So. And I found this one. Not the box, but this was an online singing course. It was called the Superior Singing Method. It's by an American called Aaron Anastasi. And it was just online, nothing more. Like, it says 60 days, it was 60 days. And every day I did 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so, not online, not with a camera, just one guy saying things, I was listening to it, doing the things he said, and that's how I ended up doing, and working. And I found out this is getting better. My singing is getting better. I was really improving. And eventually it ended up with me doing another karaoke. And at that point, I did a karaoke for people I do know. It was from a website called Tweakersnet. And they had a meeting, and I do know a lot of those people. And I was singing on stage with Sony's PlayStation SingStar. And I was singing the song Lady in Red. And there were two guys. I was with another guy. We were both singing, having fun. And at some point, this other guy just left. I was the only one on stage. And I was continuing to sing. I did hear myself singing a note, sometimes a little bit off, mostly off. But I got up. People were really cheering me up and really impressed. Everybody was silent, listening to me. I was, wow, this is really working for me, right? This course did something to me. And of course, you know, IT guy as I am, I already looked up this guy on social media, of course. And I found out he was creating a book. And the book was called, I hope, yeah, The Voice of Your Dreams. So in my mind, this was, you know, it's about singing. The Voice of Your Dreams. Let's buy the book. So I bought the book. And I was listening at first as an audiobook because Amazon refused to send this book to the Netherlands, but eventually I got the book as well. And I was listening to it and listening. And it wasn't about singing. It was about reaching goals. The guy, Aaron Anastasi, wasn't a singing teacher. He was a life coach. And it was about reaching goals. And it was really amazing. And I don't know what, after this one? Right. So I was really amazed by the fact that I was reading the book. So we end up in 2016. I quit the band. I quit the band Pirates. There was some things going on. The lead singer was getting a little bit crazy. And he was having a lot of problems with being judged. And we were judged. We were requested for 35 shows were paid €3,000 per show for 2016, but they were cancelled, all of them, because the main organizer of the event didn't like electric guitars. That was the whole reason. And of course, we were only using electric guitars at that point. So we were refused of this new big set of shows. And he blamed not himself, he didn't blame himself, he blamed the bass player and me. So the atmosphere in the band was gone. We were essentially just session musicians, badly paid session musicians. He played everything and we just had to copy what he was playing. It wasn't the band anymore. And I didn't have any, I didn't feel well, I didn't have any fun anymore going to rehearsals. I didn't have fun at shows anymore. So I decided I have to quit this. This is not happy. This is not making me happy. So in 2016, I was there. You know, I had to give up my dream of becoming a professional musician. I was so close, but I couldn't make it. I wasn't happy being a system network administrator. I didn't feel like I want to do that anymore. I've been on the phone with customers for 20 years at that point. I just feel I was so fed up with that. Listening to the problem, my word doesn't work. Yeah, that's not my problem. I'm in voice over IP at that point, so no. So I was really in doubt what to do. Should I go into law enforcement or something like that, completely different than computers? And then this book returned to me, The Voice of Your Dreams. And it's about a goal. Put yourself a goal, give yourself a destiny. But don't try to jump to that destiny immediately. Make very, very small steps. And the last tour we did was in the UK. And I went to this, in Cambridge, to the Computer Museum over there. And that Computer Museum was kind of disappointing. It had false information. It showed the Tandy TRS-80 that was created in 1979. Well, that's 2 years off. They had an Amiga 500 and the sign said Amiga 1200. I mean, how can you do that? And it didn't feel like an interactive museum. Yes, sure, the computers were on, but every computer was waiting for user input. There was no stories, there were only stories about the manufacturers. And I don't like that. Of course, I like the stories, but everybody can read those stories as well. And I was expecting a museum with more interactivity. So I was thinking at home, being in this, my dream is gone. I don't want to be a computer, I don't want to be a system network administrator anymore. What can I do? I do have a big collection of computers. At that point, I had around 400 computers. And objects, not computers at that point. So maybe I should make a computer museum the way I think it should be done. Making it interactive, making it so that we get the stories behind the computers. Not only the stories of the manufacturer, the stories of the manufacturer of why they were creating it, what happened because they created this, why did they choose this CPU, this amount of memory. That's interesting, but most of those you can find on the internet. But I'm interested as well in the stories of the users. Who were the people buying this computer? What happened with the people because they bought this computer? And it's really interesting, because I can actually now determine, based on what computer somebody had in the early 90s, what they are now doing for work. If you had an Amiga, you were creative. That's a creative person. Could be creative in art, could be creative in business, could be creative in anything. That's an Amiga. If you had an IBM PC, you're probably doing something administrative right now. If you had a Macintosh, you're odd. Now, you're doing something in desktop publishing or design or something like that. It's really fascinating what you can do based on the computer. And you can actually, it's psychology. It's really, I love that. So what I did in 2016, making the smallest step towards getting my own computer museum. So I started writing. I was writing how to make a computer museum. Now, first thing, I want to make a computer museum. And a computer it could be an Abacus, but could be a Tesla. So it's way too wide, in my opinion. So let's focus on a simple thing. Focus on the computer that was intended to be used at home, making it a home computer. That's why HomeComputerMuseum. And the first thing, being an IT guy, the first thing I did was check if the domain name is free. And yes, they were free, and I registered them all, except for the .com. I still don't have that one. And I immediately went on Facebook, created the page. And then I started writing all my ideas, how I will make it, how can I make this happen. And that business plan I wrote down in 2016 is what we do today. So I have no idea what's next. I told my wife, and she went like, what are you doing now? Because at first I was a musician. I wanted to become a musician. Then I was a system network administrator. And now suddenly a museum director. So she wasn't too pleased with that. Anyway, I had the business plan. And I called up the city of Helmond, said, listen, I want to create a computer museum. What do I do? I have no idea. I never created a museum. I'm just a network engineer. So yeah, they helped me, kind of. There were two girls, two females, ladies from the city. They went to my house, and I explained them. The first thing they said to me when they came into my house said, we don't have anything with computers. And there I have to sell them a computer museum. So I told them, you know, what my plans were, what the idea was. I showed them a little bit. I put my garage, I cleaned it up for a bit. I showed some how the computers would be set up. And after they saw that, they walked me back and they said, you know, you can have this building or maybe that building or such building. I had convinced them that a computer museum would be a good idea. But the city didn't help me at all at that point. They only said, you know, they were trying to put me in a building, but it didn't work out. And they said to me, you know what, you should start already. And, you know, start already. You're the only one that we are trying to get into this collection of museums. You're the only one that doesn't have a real museum yet. I thought they meant I have to go out and hire a building. They meant I had to go online with my museum. But I'm an IT guy. That's the first thing I did. Go online and put everything online. So I rented the building. And this is actually a photo by the end of 2017 where I rented the building. It's that empty. It's, the floor is still, this is one floor, there's the wall over there. Behind the wall, there's no floor at all. There was no electricity. Yeah, there's electricity, but there were no cables running. There was no light, there was no heating, there was nothing. It was completely empty. This is 2 days before the opening. I can tell you, they had to lay down a concrete floor. And we said on the internet, we're opening on March 17, 2018. We are going to open. And yeah, the landlord, he decided, you know what, the wall will go down, that's fine, but the floor. So she started with the floor in late 2017. Let's find out who's laying a new floor in there. And eventually 10 days, and I'm not joking, 10 days before March 7, 2018, the concrete floor was laid down in that building. And she said, you cannot go on that floor for 2 months. I was like, no, I just said, I'm opening on March 17. So she said, you know, that's your problem. If you damage it, you have to pay for everything. Okay, so I asked, who did lay down the floor, which company? So she gave me the name of the company. I called up the company and said, when can I go on that floor? And he said, after 2 days. All right. So after 2 days, we were pushing everything we had with 6 people, working from 8 in the morning until 2 in the night, from 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. We were working day in, day out, 7 days we worked. We built a museum from scratch with no money at all. Only a collection. We had 35 computers at opening, working in the museum. Oddly enough, most computers from the 90s didn't work anymore. All old computers worked, but the new computers didn't work. But the thing was, we were open on March 17, 2018, and nobody expected that we would work out. I have, again, no idea what's next. So, I will go a little bit into how we are run right now. Now you get the history, and this is the current Home Computer Museum. We consist on what I call the 4 pillars. Because if you remove one pillar, the building will still be up, or the structure. So on top we have the company, and I call it as a company. Because a museum is a company, there's no difference in that. It's a non-profit company. But any non-profit thing, including like CHM, they have costs. And cost has to be covered by revenue. The thing is, of non-profit, you cannot make profit. So you can have some spare money, but it has to be returned into your company. Non-profit doesn't mean you can hold up your hand and get money. So we need something to get money. So I divided it into basically 4 pillars. The most important one, let's see what next. Yeah, museum. A museum is about collecting stories. That's a museum. It's not about the objects. That's the difference between a collector and a museum. A collector collects objects and is limited to money and space. And a museum is collecting stories and sharing these stories using objects. Currently we have 2,500 computers in the museum. Oldest from 1972, that's the Q1 we have. And the oldest is from 2008, which actually a Commodore big tower, media tower thing. We have 350 computers set up interactive. So if you visit the Home Computer Museum and you pay €10.24 for entrance, you can actually sit behind these computers and enjoy them in an environment which matches the computer's age. We do tours for schools, we do businesses. We also collaborate with local restaurants. I agreed with them, if you don't open a museum, I won't open a restaurant, and they all agreed with that, so that's nice. So we do a nice collaboration with that. People can buy a ticket with our place or get a tour, and we send them out to a restaurant which is way better in cooking food than we are. And so we can, at that point, we can collaborate in a nice way. So that's the museum. Yeah, our mission is to preserve and share the history of the home computer for and with current and future generations. That's the mission of the Home Computer Museum. Okay, that's a nice way to add it. Now, we have 30,000 objects at this moment registered in the museum. And that doesn't include magazines. So I think if we include magazines, we can add another 5,000 on that. So the next pillar is what we have is called social. We have currently 52 volunteers. We're open 7 days a week as a museum. We have a lot of reintegration. We have a lot of people that have a distance to the labor market, and usually because of autism, and we help them to cope with a normal job. We learn them skills how to socialize. We learn them technical skills or other skills they can use for the next company. And we're very effective in that. In the last 5 years, we helped 15 people back to a job from welfare, reliant on welfare, back to a normal paid job or a study. And the best of it, they remain a volunteer at the Home Computer Museum because it's so fun to work with us. And that's really unique. And we actually get some money of that from the government because we are doing that. It's also called daytime activity in that case. We have regular volunteers. From France, we have a volunteer. We have a volunteer from Luxembourg. We have literally all over the place. People actually going to us. The guy from Luxembourg has to drive for 3 hours, which in European language is way far. But he has to drive for 3.5 hours, and he comes every 3 weeks or so. He comes over just to work with us. We have interns, and we actually have 2 paid employees. You're seeing one of them. I work more than I'm getting paid for it, actually. I work there around 60 hours a week at this moment. And I get paid for maybe 20, if I'm lucky. But you know what? I don't need it. I'm trying to make volunteers happy. That's what I do. I try to keep the history alive. That's what I do. And that fulfills me. I don't need I already have an old Chevy van, so what can break on that, right? So we also do a commercial part, because yeah, things cost money, and having a museum, last year we had 5,100 visitors coming in through the door. That's not enough to rent a building. That's not enough to pay for the electricity for 350 computers that work every day. So we do also a commercial part. We sell, okay, that's good. We sell refurbished computers. So we have old business laptops usually that our volunteers refurbish. Install a new Windows version if they allow it, or just a Linux version. And we sell those laptops. And the biggest go to children from poor families who need a laptop for school. We sell them to a foundation, or the foundation pays us to sell those laptops to these people. The foundation pays for it. We also do it for unemployed people, people without a job that cannot afford a laptop in order to follow a course to get a job. We also gave away a lot of laptops for refugees. 1,100 laptops for Ukrainian refugees we have given away, and about a few hundred to Syrian refugees. So that's also a part of what we do. We have overstock, because as I just mentioned, we're a museum. We only share, and we only need stories. We don't need as many products or objects. So what we do is we have a rule of 3. We keep 3 of each. Every model we have, we try to keep 3 of. 1 in the museum, active, 1 in the warehouse, could be active in case the one in the museum breaks down, and 1 in the original box. Because the original box, we think, is also part of the collection. And the 4th one that comes in through donations will be sold, and we will tell the donator, you know what, we're going to sell this one, or use it for parts. And they all agree with that. And if they don't, you know, you sell it. It's fine with me. Of course, if it's better than the one we have, then we keep it, of course. But sure, that's we have this rule of 3, and we're good at it. We currently have 1,800 unique computer models, and yeah, so we're doing it quite well, I think. We also offer a repair service for both old and new computers. More than half of our staff are technical, and we can repair literally everything, from power supplies to CRT screens. We actually do everything. We do data rescue, we can do anything. We have so much, I'm so fortunate to have those volunteers with me. So we offer that as a service, and we get paid for that. And it could be, you know, a Commodore 64 that's broken, or it could be a new computer, an old lady coming in, and you know, my Windows 11 is broken. Okay, we reinstall that. That's the easy part. But we do that, and we try to communicate in front what it will cost. We ask for €35 per half an hour, excluding parts. So it's not that extreme. So digital heritage, because we have so many computers working, it means we can read old media, just old storage media, and that's what we offer. For companies, for other museums, for archives, even for just consumers coming in. I have this old floppy and I have data on it. Sure, come in, we'll read it for you. We convert the data if they want to. We can convert any object. Could be Quark Express 1.0, which is very annoying to convert, but you can do it. You have to open it in Quark Express 1.0 and then convert it. So that's why we need old computers to read old media. We do appraisal. Not officially, but we have contact with true appraisers. And we can do that. So we can actually say this computer is worth this much. And the last pillar is knowledge. We have knowledge of building a museum, because we did. We have knowledge of collecting. And the collecting part is mostly, we created our own system. In IT world, it's called asset management. But in museum world, it's called collection registration system. And I can tell you there's no system in the world, official museum registration system, that can handle computers. It simply doesn't exist. They only think of, you know, there's an object and only one exists of this object. Which is great if you are an art museum, sure. Van Gogh only had 1 copy of his paintings. But a computer is different. So we created our own system from scratch, the way we want to register software, the objects we have. Includes a help desk system and a support desk system. It includes a mobile app. We did everything. Includes every information pushed to our website. We're currently rebuilding it because PHP is too slow to handle 30,000 objects. So we're recreating it now based on Python, and we're going to release that open source to everybody, just for free, to museums. And eventually also to consumers who have a collection. They can also use this same system if they want to. So we have a lot of historical knowledge. It was really fun to walk around and tell a few stories that the people that actually showed us things didn't know. So I have stories about Alice. I have all these backstories I know. You don't want a tour from me, by the way. It's 16 hours. And yes, I calculated that. Social entrepreneurship. We do a lot of it social with autism, people with autism, people with disabilities. We help them. So that's also part of knowledge we have. And we are creating courses. Courses to repair, actual repair. So this is a scope, this is a multimeter, how you can solder, all that kind of stuff. We're actually making certificates for that. We're now talking with the Dutch government to get this official. So it will be part of the national grading system. Our course will be that. We're creating a course called Back to Basic. We want to learn children the joys of programming in BASIC again, with limited hardware, with 64K of memory. And use the same method. If they use the same method, the same thinking of the limited resources they have, if they use it nowadays, they use it in modern software, you can get very fast software. You don't need to import a library of 5 gigabytes just to clear the screen, because that happens. Not sure if it's 5 gigabytes, but you get the gist. So, yeah, I'm in time, which is nice. So I have a nice announcement I can make. And that's, it's really big. And I hope the video will work. That's why I was a little bit late. But I have this huge announcement. And for those who don't know, well, maybe you already know it, but depends if you're on Facebook and read yesterday. Okay? Does it?
Hello to everyone at the sysadmin convention here. I am really proud, in all seriousness, to tell you guys that we just made a bit of history. History that could hopefully undo 31 years of hurt for Commodore fans and employees alike. I just flew to the Netherlands, joined by members of the Commodore team, both old and new, and together we signed the final contracts and paid in full, ahead of schedule, I might add, to acquire the whole of Commodore Corporation BV and all 47 original Commodore trademarks, the oldest dating back to 1983, when of course Jack Trammell was still CEO. And today, Leonard Trammell, hi Leonard, is our CTO, Chief Trammell Officer of course. But yeah, today actually means that Commodore is finally in the hands of those who truly care, the community and the employees. And we did this for every one of you who ever grew up with a Commodore lighting up their imagination. I mean, Commodores were just magic, weren't they? And I think if there's anything the world needs today, it's a bit of magic. So Commodore now reboots, not just as a retro brand, but as the digital detox brand, picking up right where we left off in the 90s to help free us from toxic tech today and bring a bit of joy back to computing. So stay tuned to Retro Recipes by Commodore over on YouTube for the full story, because yes, Commodore is finally keeping up with you. Cheerio.
So, the Home Computer Museum is officially partner of Commodore now. We will be the official museum, the official Commodore Museum. We are the official Commodore historian now, together with David Pleasance. We will have a Commodore shop in the Home Computer Museum where we show the new stuff. We will offer repairs, and there's plenty of things coming in. It's a very interesting thing that goes on. We will both support the old hardware. We make, the things I'm planning at this point are new chips, officially Commodore branded chips. So you can bring your Commodore 64 in, and it will be, the chips will be replaced by official Commodore chips. There will be a new Commodore coming out in October. It's Commodore 64 Ultimate, which is a new Commodore, new hardware, but still the same old Commodore. It feels like the same old Commodore, brand new. And there will be much, much more. I know a few details already, and I can't share everything, but it will be very interesting. The thing is, we are helping Commodore to get back, and Commodore exists today again. Commodore is officially a brand, and we will help other brands as well. We will help the Mega 65. We will give out rights. We will have quality assurance. That we know somebody comes in with, he created something for a Commodore, and we will give him a license to actually use the brand name Commodore and put it on his device he created. Very interesting people are attached to Commodore, including Mr. Leonard over there, who is the official CTRO, Chief Tremel Officer. And we are the official partner as well. So yeah, we are actually going into the future. So we revived the brand Commodore, and I'm more than happy to say that we as the Home Computer Museum are part of that. So yeah. So I will just show a little bit of more pictures. I think this is one of the, yeah. So I'll show you, this is just the Home Computer Museum. I'm still having a few more minutes, so I have 8 minutes and 24 seconds. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask about it. Other than that, I'll just continue scrolling through everything in the picture. This is just a few pictures. The museum itself is 11,733 square feet. Yes, I had to calculate that. Or 1,090 square meters, if you use normal. This is our repair center. It's kind of messy at this point, in these photos. At least the under ones are the repair shop we have. We have 8 people sitting there repairing, doing everything. We have scopes, we have desoldering, soldering irons, we have everything. Function generators. We can basically get every computer working again. On the top right over there, that's part of our warehouse. As you can see, it's pretty full. And yeah, we are looking for a new location, but it will take another few years before we can move again to a new location, which is what it looks like now, 3 times the size we have. This is the 1980s era. As you can see, there are a few computers on. People can sit behind it. You can just go into the museum, pay entrance fee, be there the entire day. Our current record, by the way, is somebody from Italy. She came in from Italy, two females, 2 ladies, came in from Italy, flew in, and stayed, I'm not kidding, 5 days. 5 days. Every morning at 11, they came into the museum, and at 6, they went out. 5 days. And they come back next year, because there's so much to see in the Home Computer Museum. They don't have enough time, they don't have enough things to do. They can just see so much. We're the Disney World. We're Disney World for computer nerds. This is a part of the 70s era. All these computers are working, by the way. So they're off in this photo because they use a lot of power and we don't want burn-in. So most of them, people don't have any idea what to do with it, so nor there are games for it. I mean, who has a game for 5100, right? But yeah, everything is working, what's in the picture. This is, you see an Apple I, which is a replica. This is the only 3 replicas on the photo we have. The Altair 8800 is a replica, the Kenback is a replica, and the Apple I is a replica. So out of the 2,500 computers, we have 3 replicas. I think that's okay. This is the Commodore PAD. This is a true setup. So this chair is from 1977, the desk is from 1977, everything what you see here is 1977. And we have around 30 of these setups through the museum. And it starts in the 70s and goes to the 90s, so we have a few of those. So this is the 90s era. You see a lot of CDI. We have the world's largest CDI collection. So we have about 1,600 CDI titles. We have all the hardware. And we do a lot of discovery and thinking, looking into the history of CDI. We actually have spoken to a lot of people who developed CDI. We actually know why CDI was dead in the end, why it wasn't a big success. We actually know that CDI caused things like the CDTV. We know that CDI caused the Panasonic 3DO. We know that the CDI has caused the PlayStation. We know that CDI still exists today if you use Netflix. Because the whole thing that you have a menu over a video stream, that comes straight out of CDI. We have a lot of Amigas over there. We have all Amigas that ever came out, including a few really rare ones like the 3000 Unix. We have the Commodore Amiga 4000 that was used for the movie Titanic. We have an Amiga 2500 that was used at NASA. And we have one that comes from Psygnosis, the last Amiga 1200 that was not stolen from the Psygnosis office. We have that one as well. It's not stolen, we got it. So here's the boring part, it's the IBM PCs. We run all the Windows version 1.0, we run up until Windows Vista. And yes, we have Windows Millennium Edition also running in the museum. I know. Yes, we have Microsoft Bob. We actually have Microsoft Messenger as well running, so you can actually MSN to each other if you want. We have dial-up internet, which actually functions as well. No, that not.
If you can, either repeat what they're saying or speak it, we can come to you with the microphone.
Thanks, Jeff. So yeah, we have dial-up internet. So we have our own PBX. We have our own dial-up server. We created that. People can actually dial up using a 33K6 modem on Windows 95, dial up on the internet, and actually browse the internet using Netscape 3.21, I think, or Internet Explorer 3.0. And we have a collaboration with the Internet Archive, so they don't block us with requests of web archive. So you can actually visit, in 1996, visit the internet from 1996. That's what we do. That's everything you see over there. There's a bunch of disks. That's all illegal. Those are all illegal disks and cassettes and everything. The Dutch were very good at piracy. So we show that. And yes, everybody knows that we show that. That's fine. As long as we don't sell it or don't buy it or not making money out of that. But don't worry, we have a copy of everything. So this is IBM. These are the machines you see there are called the Holborn. These are Dutch computers. We have 5 of those Holborn computers. They look really, really odd. They're Z80-based machines. The company existed for 4 years. They made 200 computers, and then the company went bankrupt. And we have 5 of those, which is the largest collection in the world, because nowhere else are 5 of these computers can be found on one location at least. And of course, they all work because we can. The biggest problem we have is the operating system. There's the server one that boots off an 8-inch floppy disk, and it has an operating system called Holborn Operating System. And of course, nobody has a copy of that, and nobody has an archive. So we cannot boot that one because we don't have, the machine works, but we cannot boot it because we don't have the operating system yet. Eventually we find it, I'm sure. So this is MSX. MSX was quite big in the Netherlands between 1983 and roughly 1988-ish. MSX1 was kind of big in the Netherlands. MSX2, Philips did try, but wasn't very successful in that. Yeah, MSX2 was kind of successful, but by the end of '88, everybody in the Netherlands went to the Amiga or Atari or something else. So MSX was way too late, especially MSX2 was way too late. Why use an 8-bit computer in 1986, right? So more is Atari stuff and Commodore stuff. So this is one of the most pictured photos we have. A lot of people sit behind this desk. It's an Amiga 1000. fully working on a desk from 1985, chair from 1985, everything works from 1985. And yes, the wallpapers are true 1985. So yeah, I have one of the volunteers has some kind of strange reason to collect all that stuff, so sure. And we use that. So the Tandy stuff, Z80s, and this is the early 80s stuff. Yeah, Apple II. This is Euro Plus. The first Apple II that came out in Europe, the Euro Plus. The Apple II never came in Europe. The Apple II Plus never came in Europe. So the first one was the Euro Plus, which has no difference. The only exception is it doesn't have color. The American variant, and the power supply is 220 volt. And it doesn't do, and it's PAL. So that's why it's not color, because it is the same color. This is one of the rarities in the US, but they're very common in the Netherlands. The XD sorcerer. That's because in 1979, in the Netherlands, we had a TV course using the XD sorcerer. And I see Jeff already standing there, so I guess my time is out. And I see 000 over there, so yeah, I just have more pictures, but that's it. So this is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be walking around. So